Okay, folks, hate to do this to you, but it's time for the second assessment over rational expressions, okay? So you want to make sure you got your GCF calculator, because this has a whole lot of factoring to it. Some of you might not need the GCF calculator. Most of you will want to use the Math Papa calculator, because Math Papa leads, not using that leads to careless mistakes and the whole problem gets screwed up. Okay, we don't need Math Pop on these. This is multiplication. Okay, I'm going to be using a red pen because this paper is like awful. I don't know what happened. Multiplication is a three-step process and it involves a whole lot of factoring. Well, I see pluses, I see a minus, and I see pluses. Okay, first thing, all those need to be parenthesized and then taken to a piece of scratch paper. Put the top two right here. Put a 1 there. Put the bottom two here. I know what some of you are thinking about the x plus 1. Yeah, I'll get to that. Okay, let's do our top. These both are on top. These are both on bottom. Let's do the tops first and fill that out. Remember, if something doesn't get a parentheses without, you just carry it over. Okay, so that's 3 terms. So that's greatest common factor, T-table. GCF, you don't need the negative. You don't need X because the 1 doesn't have it. 3, 4, and 1's 1. Okay. Then I multiply A by C. And that's 3 positive, so it's a sum that needs to get to 4, which is positive. 1 and 3 does that. So you need positive 3, and a positive sum means the signs are the same. Okay. Now your A is 3x to the second, so you got to make 2 lines of parentheses. And we go 3x plus 1, 3x plus 3. Here you just divide the GCF's 1, so it'd stay 3x plus 1. If it's the same number, the GCF's 3. You don't just leave the same number. You divide it by that number, and that becomes 1x, or x plus 1. And that is going on top. So I put 3x plus 1, and if you have a 1x, just write it as x, please. Okay, now we've also got this on top, that expression. I'm just rewriting the expression so I can simplify the multiplication. So GCF T. Well, the negative is not needed. The X is not needed. 1, 8, and 12 is 1. Okay. So I take 1 times 12. That's 12 positive. And that's finding a sum of 8 positive. 1 and 12, 2 and 6. Yep, that makes 8. So plus 6 and plus 2. And my A is 1. If my A is 1, then I don't need to do this 4 parentheses nonsense. I can go x plus 2, x plus 6. So rewrite that expression as x plus 2, x plus 6. Okay, the top's filled out. Now it's time to the bottom. There's 2 terms here, so I'd be looking for the GCF. And then I will see if I have a difference of perfect squares. GCF negative is not needed. The X is not needed. 1 and 4 is 1. DOPS. Well, 4 is 2 times 2. And because a minus is there, 1 is 1 times 1, and then the x to the second is x times x. So yeah, I rewrite that expression here as x plus 2, x minus 2. You don't put the 1s there, okay? Because then you won't know what to cross out. Okay, x plus 1. Okay, GCF negative in front. Nope. X on everything. No way. 1, 1. Okay, that's 1. you have a plus, it can't be a dot. So that's a prime expression. We just carry that one over. Okay, now that that torture's over, cross out the parentheses, okay, that are like there, 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 and that's nothing else. So you got 3x plus 1. As soon as you put it, cross it out, you got x plus 6. They're not canceling. I just don't want to see them there. Then x minus 2 on bottom. And I don't have any outside factors, okay? So I don't need to do anything on number 2. This is the answer. Okay, next problem. We will not need that sheet. Because there are no parentheses, there's no plus or minus within that, or that, or that. Okay, so the factoring, don't need it. Now, circle the tops, because you have to do, obviously, if there's not a step 1, you're going to have to do step 2. So we have a 10. I wouldn't multiply 10 by anything. Then for x, okay, I have a 4 and a 1. We need to add those. That's 5. And then the only y we have is to the 4th. Then the bottom, 3 times 6 is 18. You times those. Now you get x's, you got a 1, x to the first, x to the second. Well, that makes x to the third because you're adding the powers. And then y second, y once. So that'd be y third. Now, on your GCF calculator, you look up the greatest common factor between 10 and 18 because you're going to divide those by that common factor, otherwise known as reducing the fraction, okay, by 2. So divide by 2, both of them, cut them in half, and that's 5/9. X fifth, x third. We take away the smaller one and just subtract 3, and that's x second on top. You take away the smaller one, and that's y to the first, or just y on top. Okay, and that's my answer. You don't. That's not that. The second without parentheses. That's actually good. Okay, solving the equation. You got a, b, c, d, because there's just 2. It's a simple proportion. Okay. So again, big Herm here will be taking a times b equals c times d. So a is 1, b is 7x, c is 2, and d is 1x plus 5. So that's 7x. Just, you don't even distribute there because there's no plus, okay? You just take 1 times 7, put the x. Here there's a plus, so we got to distribute separately, and that's 2x plus 10. Now I subtract 2x. 5 times x equals 10. And x equals 2. Okay, good. I like those kinds of problems. They're pretty easy and stress-free. Now the next one, you got 3 ratios. So you need to extend the 3 ratio lines, put the equals where it goes and the plus sign, and you need to come up with an LCD. Now the tops, see if you need to parenthesize the tops. I don't think you do. There's no plus or minus there, so I have 12. Nothing there, and there's no plus or minus, so we'll drop 3x down. Okay, now the bottom, I see a minus, put it in parentheses, and a plus, put it in parentheses, and those are on bottom, so we need to not just write them down blindly. We need to see if they factor. Okay, so that's 2 terms. So GCF and difference of perfect squares. GCF's just 1, okay. DOPS, well, you got 1 here, 1, 1. 1 here, 1, 1. And x to the second, x, x, okay. Okay, so we're going to rewrite that as x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay, and then x plus 1, I can't do much with that, I don't believe. Okay, GCF would just be 1. And you don't even have a minus, so you don't rewrite that. That's prime. You keep that the same. Okay. Okay, now that sets me up for my LCD. On the bottom, I have an x plus 1 in parentheses, an x minus 1 in parentheses, another one in I already have that, and there's no outer factors on bottom to worry about. So x plus 1, I got 1, 0, 1. And you got to bring that on top, too. X minus 1, 0, or sorry, excuse me, 1, 0, 0. Okay, now the bottoms can be canceled, and I use my math papa. So on the left side of the equation, we got a 12. Then we're going to add 2 parentheses x plus 1. Well, what am I doing? I'm punching into the GCF. So 12 plus 2 parentheses x plus 1. Parentheses x minus 1, okay, and I get 2x to the second power plus 10. Now over here I have 3x. By the way, for those of you who think, oh, he doesn't know in his head, that's pathetic. It's 3x squared minus 3x, okay. And you got 2 answers to the equation. Not only that, you also have this x here that isn't to the second power, so you need to factor the expression, okay? You need to get it equal to 0, okay? It means one side has to be cleared. Here's my bigger x squared. You clear the other side, okay? So I subtract 2x squared from 3x squared, and that's 1, okay? Because I want a positive right there. Regular x, we just got the negative 3, okay? And then plus 10, you have 10, but that needs to be cleared, okay? We got to clear everything there, and it just goes here. Okay, that's a trinomial, so it's GCFT, and it should be pretty easy to factor. GCF, negative in front, x, 1, no. Okay, 1 times negative 10 is 10 negative. So it's a difference of 3. Remember that 3 is negative. 2 and 5. Okay, 5 negative and 2 positive. Because negative difference. A is just a 1, so I can write it at x plus 2 times x minus 5. Okay, and then set each factor equal to 0, and I can find my solutions. So I minus 2, I get negative 2. I add 5, I get positive 5. All right, story problem time. I have connected on 18 to 25 serves. How many consecutive serves do I have to make to raise my average to 85%? Okay. So again, I go right to a proportion. It's just 85% is what I want. That's over 100. That's my goal, okay? This is what I have currently done, okay? I've currently made 18 to 25, but that's not 85%, so we got to add to how many we connect on and how many we make. Okay, and that's a simple proportion with A, B, C, and D. So A times B equals C times D. So A is 85, B is 25 plus X, 1X. C is 18 plus 1X, and D is 100. Okay, so I take 85 times 25, 2,125 plus 85X, then 1,800 plus 100X. So I subtract 85x, that's 15x, so 2125 equals 1800 plus 15x. So that's 3125. And then we'll divide by 15. Okay, it's a pretty easy problem. Wait a second. That was wrong answer. That's 325. This is wrong. Okay, so 325. So 32125 1800. Yeah, that's 325. Get that 1 out of there. Okay, 22. You got to make your next 22 to maintain that. I messed up. That's 325. Okay, my next one. 2 planes travel for equal amounts of time. The first plane travels 600 miles. The second travels 750 miles. The second plane travels an average of 25 miles per hour faster than the first. What is the time that they're in the air? So it's all right there, hours. Now they're talking, anytime they start throwing at me distances and speeds and times, I go with this. So we have a fast plane and a slow plane. I like to put my speed first, okay? It doesn't matter which one you put first, speed, distance, time, okay? Now, again, the speed is the miles per hour. You see that, but it's faster. So that means more than. So x plus 25 is faster. X is slower because you don't actually know either of them. And that's out. Now, distance is the miles without the per hour. Okay? So 750 would be, and then 600. Now, again, the faster speed goes the further distance. Okay, now time. Time, I don't know. I know that they travel for equal times, and I know time can be written as a ratio of distance divided by speed. Okay? So the distance 750, and then x plus 25. The distance here is 600 over x. Okay? Okay, I know these are equal. So 750 over x plus 25, then 600 over x. And then ABCD is going to get the job done. But that's not the answer I put here, though, okay? Because x is the speed. You need the hours. That doesn't match what you need to find. Okay, so A is 750, B is x, C is 600, D is x plus 25. So that's 750x. That's going to be 600x plus whatever 600 times 25 is. 15,000. Then I minus 600x from each side. That's 150x equals 15,000. Now I divide by 150 here. I get 100. That's not your answer, though. You got to realize that. 100 is simply the speed it flew at. To find the hours, that's your time. So just put 100 there, and 600 divided by 100 is 6. Or you could do that one, okay? I mean, 750 divided by 125 is 6 too. But again, you have to look. That's not, the x isn't on those, that's not what you're finding. Okay, number 7. 2 friends can mow 4 fields in 5 hours. If one friend's mower goes twice as fast as the other, how long would it take them working separately? So I see you. I'm going to conduct unit analysis, even though some of you know by now that's probably a waste of time on this problem. XY, so it's fields per hour. I have no idea what the fields per hour is. For either person, together, nothing. Okay? But I don't need to know that because I don't need to know the M here because at 0 hours they're not going to be able to mow any fields. So go to ratio, go to a proportion. Okay. So again, in a proportion, what do we know? We know we have equal ratios, but we're going to need 2 of them over here. Now, it's important you get your hours on bottom. 5 hours goes here. That's together. But separately, you don't know. That's your answer. So you put x and x, but one of them's twice as fast times 2. Now, these have the same quantity throughout the entire equation, okay? Because you did 4 fields together, and you'd have to both do 4 if you're working separately. Now they're like, well, what do I do here? Well, A, B, C, D ain't going to work, so let's extend the lines and get an LCD. Okay, now again, the tops, I don't need parentheses, and after I decide I don't, I drop them. And I don't need parentheses on bottom, so I don't need to factor anything here. Okay. Now the LCD, I have outer x, outside x. I have another outside x, so outside 2 and outside 5. Okay, so outside x, 1, 1, 0. So we're going to multiply, put an x here and here. Outside 2, 0, 1, 0. So I times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Outside 5, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so I multiply by 5 by 5. Okay, so those bottoms are gone. Now, 4 times 2 times 5, and you can just go on a calculator now. 4 times 2 times 5 plus 4 times 5 is 60. Then we're going to take, that's 8 with x. Then I divide by 8, and 60 divided by 8 is 7.5. Find the second answer, just double it, 15. Okay, now the next one, some of you need to really listen on how to actually set this up. You can bike 10 miles per hour without wind. To get your destination's 20 miles. The trip there and back takes 2 hours. Find the wind speed. Distance. Distance is miles without the per hour. I see 20. Now that's there, that's back, and that'd be 40. Get the 20 out. That's the miles without the hours. Okay. The speed is your miles per hour. Well, it's 10. Okay. But one way I'm going with wind, the other way I'm not. So I go against wind. We don't need that. Okay, now times the hours. Hours, but that's there and back, so that's 2. Okay, no, you can't call it 1 and 1 because it's going to take you longer when you're going with slower than when you're going faster. So you use your distance over speed. 20, 10 plus x. There's a plus, get it in parentheses. 20, 10 minus x. Okay. And you add those and you're equal to 2. The bottom's going to be empty. Okay, so is ABCD going to work? I don't think so. That's 3 lines. So I extend, put an LCD. So the top, I don't need parentheses, and then I just drop everything down. The bottom I do, I already have the parentheses there, but they can't be factored. That's a waste of time to even take it. There with the GCF it'd be 1, and it's not a difference of perfect squares. Okay. But you need to put those in parentheses. Okay, so for the LCD, we just have to worry about 10 plus x and 10 minus x. 1, 0, 0. Remember to bring it in on top as well. 10 minus x, 0, 1, 0. Okay, delete. Okay, then we go into our calculator. We'll be taking 20, 10 minus x, plus 20, and then 10 plus x. 400. Okay, then on the other side of the equation, I have 2, and I'll be taking 10 plus x, then 10 minus x. Get negative 2x to the second power plus 200. Now I'm just going to get x squared by itself, so I subtract. That's 200. Okay, I see bad news here. Divide by negative 2. Negative 100 equals x to the second. Now if I find the square root of negative 100, I get the dreaded domain error. Put invalid. That will not happen on the test. Okay. So again, you got it. You guys got it. Distance is just miles. Okay. Speed is the mph. That's what the wind affects. Okay. And then time is the actual hours. You put the 2 there. Okay.